So you're probably the first person ever to talk to me about Cambodian sauna scene. But since this is Finland, it is a spa with a real sauna, not like a fake hot box.
Ever since Toronto, I've had this bug to build a masonry heater.
Guess who's coming to sauna? Hekilunta. Guess who's coming to sauna? Hekilunta.
Before we get into this episode, I have three quick announcements. First, we're planning on doing an upper bench community live stream over the holidays, so stay tuned for that. We'd love to catch up with you, see how any builds or plans are coming along, and just enjoy a chat in our Christmas pajamas. Second, I'd like to mention this week's sponsor, Creamy Soaps, which is a great Christmas gift for the sauna lover in your life. They have natural, high-quality pine tar soap, and our code upperbench, all one word, will get you 25% off your gift orders. And last is a bit about our next episode, which is an interview with Rob Light, which you don't want to miss. He's a sauna builder in New York that has a deep appreciation for the Finnish American perspective of sauna. He's representing the practice well out there. So enjoy the rest of the episode.
Hello, everyone. This is Eero with the Upper Bench podcast. Risto, Sam, what's going on? Let's start with Risto. What's going on with you?
It's so dark and so cold. I don't know if we're going to make it.
It has been getting darker and darker, earlier and earlier. I was doing yard work today and I just had to stop because I ran out of daylight. But no, hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Upper Bench here. We're chatting here. It's, as you can tell, it's probably evening. It's dark where everybody's at, but hey, it could just be early afternoon for this time of year. But we're chatting tonight. We've all been traveling a little bit. This is kind of our return to base after Toronto, and we had a blast. We've had our catch up. If you haven't listened to it, please go back, take a look. We did a great review of our Toronto trip. If you're interested, or if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But yeah, I've been hitting the sauna here at home doing yard work. How about you guys? When was the last time you had a good schwitz?
I was doing sauna on Friday. Excellent session. I think I did 4 rounds, and it's beautiful. And it is like funny enough, Friday was super cold around here, but today I was also doing yard work, and I can't say that it was summer, but it was totally fine. But
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, Friday, good sauna session. I really enjoyed it.
Was that with the Stanford Steamers?
Correct, correct.
Heck yeah.
Nice.
No, it's been unseasonably warm down here too. We hit like 65 today, and for well into December here, yeah, it's a nice little warm up. So I took advantage, got out there, burned plenty of brush and stuff. But Risto, it's got to be a little chillier up in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, today warmed up. We're in the 50s. So
Oh,
again,
nice.
that's the same, unseasonably warm. And
Yeah.
then I think the last sauna I took was had one quick round at my mother-in-law's sauna, the electric one that we set up for her. And then before that, it was probably when we were out of the country in Cambodia. Um,
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I mean, you were there for what, 10 days?
yeah, over 10 days. I
Over
think it was
10
like
days. Wow.
12 or 13 days. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. And did you went with all your family, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's Julie's Cambodian, and it was the first
Mhm.
time that I've been over there to see where her family's from.
Awesome. 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 And you said now, was there sauna over in Cambodia?
There was. I didn't do a lot of homework beforehand, but I did find it actually worked out pretty well. I ended up sounding at two places, and they were pretty interesting experiences.
Oh, very cool. Now, I can't imagine now you probably know a little bit of a language maybe to get by, but were you able to kind of come and go or what was the experience like?
Well, they know quite a bit of English there, and I don't really know much of the language, so I only know a few food words. But they know enough English to kind of navigate me around and tell me where the slippers are and where to get a towel, that kind of thing.
Perfect.
So you're probably the first person ever to talk to me about Cambodian sauna scene. So what is the and we shouldn't be laughing because there won't be there could be a vivid and a very lively thing going on. But anyway,
I
so
hope it grows.
yeah, well, there you go. Is it like the kind of the first question I have for you is just like it's a hot country, right? Was it hot outside?
Very hot. Yep. We were in the 90s,
Hmm.
90s Fahrenheit. Yep.
Yeah, that's steamy.
Yeah, because many people think that because it's hot outside, you don't really need a sauna. But I guess that's not exactly the case here.
No. And then one of them, I ended up sauning at two places, and you can find saunas at kind of higher end hotels there. But neither of these, well, one of the places was kind of a higher end hotel, but the experience wasn't what you would expect at a high end hotel sauna. It was more like a local, there, public bathhouse kind of a thing. And
Hmm.
so, and most of the people there weren't guests, I don't think, at the hotel. They were just local people. So they had like kind of like a warm pool area and then a pretty large cold pool area and then a steam room and a sauna. And there were like a lot of people there, men and women.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Was there anything like out of the norm? Was there anything that was really took you by surprise?
Just how many people were there during the middle of the day. I was surprised. This was in Battambang, Cambodia, which is kind of a medium-sized town. It's not like the capital, Phnom Penh. But so I was just surprised how many people were there. I met a Westerner who'd retired there. Otherwise, everyone else is Cambodian.
Hmm.
And then they had pineapple and maybe lemongrass in both the steam room and the sauna. In the sauna, it was in a basket over the rocks.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then the cold plunge, like they weren't messing around with that cold plunge. There were people just hanging out in there.
Oh, really?
The Westerner guy that I met, he said that they'll try to hit like 30 minutes in there, that it's supposed to be good for your liver.
Interesting.
And what was the town?
I was going to ask the same.
I think it was pretty cold and it had movement. So it was like in the upper 30s or lower 40s. Yeah, it was colder than the second place that I went to. So both of them, the first one kind of had a Japanese bathhouse kind of feel a little bit. And then the second one was actually a Japanese bathhouse, like a small
Oh,
one.
okay.
So it was at a hotel in Phnom Penh named Azumaya, which is kind of geared towards Japanese businessmen. And up on like one of the higher floors, they have kind of a semi-open air Japanese bathhouse. So
Cool.
that was pretty cool. They had a kind of a hot tub area and a cold tub area and a few washing stations. I don't know if you've ever seen those at like the Asian bathhouses with like the little stool and the shower.
Mm.
Yep.
And then they had a sauna there too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I mean, sounds like a little bit of sauna for everyone everywhere. That's really cool that even though you were, how long did it take from the US to get to Cambodia on a plane?
Well, yeah, that was a long trip. So for
Yeah.
us, it was like maybe 4.5 hours if you take out the layover in Denver, but 4.5 hours out to the West Coast, and then like 15 to 17 hours in the plane to get over to Singapore, and then a few more hours to Cambodia. So yeah, that was kind of a zombie trip.
Ooh, I imagine. Hey, and a good sauna after a good long day of travel, that can go a long way. I was always a big fan of that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I could feel it because I was still in jet lag. Oh,
Mhm.
I'm just now getting over jet lag coming back, but
Oh, sure.
you can feel it kind of clear out your head. So yeah, I definitely recommend sauna for jet lag.
Yeah. What's the time zone difference? That's got to be what, 7 hours, 8 hours?
13.
13. Holy
Yeah,
cow.
it's like as
That's
bad
almost
as
a
you could
day.
get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Interesting.
the other side of the planet.
It's interesting because I was traveling as well, and not to hijack this conversation, but
Yeah.
I went back home to Finland, and that was because of unfortunately my father-in-law passed away, and me and my son we spent 2 nights at a hotel at the town called Heinola, Heinola, and the hotel that we were staying at had a spa. But since this is Finland, it is a spa with a real sauna, not like a fake hot box. And man, that worked so well. It worked so well. Talking about having jet lag, I was jet lagged. It's only 7 hours difference, but still, jet lagged. And after a long day, what you do first, you hit the spa, you do sauna, the cold plunge, whatever, the pool. And it takes about, depending on your schedule, takes an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. And then you hit the bar or the restaurant and eat, and then you go to bed and you're gonna sleep like a baby.
Yeah.
So I really liked the setup there. The sauna in the hotel that I was staying at had two saunas. And the traditional one was like okay. The second one was like something like there was some sense of whatever they called that thing, and that was not as hot as I prefer my sauna. So I was exclusively using the real one. But again, it works marvelous. Very nice. After it's a grim thing to go to a memorial and whatnot, but you hit the spa before you go to dinner, so it really works.
Yeah, what a great reset. Everybody travels a little bit differently. I mean, we've all seen the people in the airport wearing their pajamas all the way to a business suit, but the one commonality is you're crammed in a aluminum tube with a bunch of other people, and you're probably sweating, you're probably greasy and grimy, you're probably eating crap, you're probably drinking crap too, either coffee or energy drinks and a lot of that. So a good sauna after travel, man, I can't prescribe it enough. I wish more of these airport lounges and stuff like that had a scene like that. I think that'd be great. If you get stuck in Atlanta on a 6 hour layover from Newark or wherever you're coming from, how cool would it be to go have a schwitz, just clean out, and then, hey, I'm doing all right. I got another 2 hour flight, but I'm doing a heck of a lot better than the start of my day. So I'd be all about that. So at Delta, Southwest, hit us up. We'd love to collaborate on something like that.
Yeah, I would totally pay for something like that at the airport because I mean you've got nothing else to do.
We've been traveling back and forth so much as of late, me and my wife, back and forth to Finland, that we have now these lounge accesses and whatnot. And I have actually not yet tried it, but the Finnair lounge in Helsinki does have a sauna.
Ooh,
So yeah,
okay.
so that's yet to be, and I'm always like I show up too late, but one day I'm gonna make the effort to actually use the sauna, and that's for sure when this thing is gonna go as it looks now, the whole the sauna craze, and also like the real authentic sauna craze is gonna elevate. It's gonna go even higher. I'm sure that there will be saunas in lounges and wherever at the airports in the future.
I think especially too in the days post COVID, when hygiene and cleanliness is back at the forefront and wellness in general. If I think if more people can get on board with the sauna bathing routine and realize how clean it really is for you. There's some misconceptions there. You think gym, sauna, people in there sweating and being gross and it's not getting cleaned out right. But with the proper ventilation, the proper heat, proper drainage, it can be a very, very, very clean room.
Yeah, that's one thing I'll say about the Japanese place is it was mega clean, like super clean, very kind of zen. They had it down, but also practical, not just like chill like spa like. It was very also functional. The first place that I went to, their sauna at least could have used some updating. It was probably the least up to date part of the whole experience. But I can't complain for $5.
No, no, you can't. And just for those listening and who haven't listened to our recap of Toronto, we really didn't talk much about pricing of a lot of the public saunas that we've been to here in North America, but $5 is a steal. That's a tip. We're used to spending anywhere from 40 to 60 American for a couple hours. And it can go north of there real fast too if you go to some of these high-end places. I've seen tabs north of $100 for 3-4 hours. Now, granted, there may be some extra amenities or maybe there's more built into that, but food and beverage is always going to be extra, and that's where they're going to get you. So
Yeah, it was Toronto was like the 40 to 60 some, right?
yeah, I think the most we spent was probably at the secret sauna. I think that was right around I think it was right around $50 for the night or for the afternoon.
When I was in Finland, I had a choice. So when I booked the hotels, it's either with the spa or without the spa. And I can't recall exactly, but I think that it was maybe like $40 more for that spa pass. And again, it was totally worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what did you say what hotel that was?
It's a difficult. It's a very as every name in Finland in Finnish is difficult. It was Hotel Kumpeli, which is Kumpeli, and it's a town called Heinola, which is about, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours north of Helsinki. So it's straight up north, and that's where we're staying. But I think that's kind of a concept which is gonna be spreading more and more, and again, as long as the hot part is for real, the cold part, the where people relax and everything, that's obviously that's easy, but to get the hot room right, that's kind of a question. It's a question everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And Risto, I know you were online today. You saw what Wade had commented towards me. Eero, I don't know if you saw it, but ever since Toronto, I've had this bug to build a masonry heater. I haven't done it yet. I haven't had the right project to do it yet, but super interested. I'm kind of going down the rabbit hole in learning more about masonry heaters, and ever sitting in some of those banyas and seeing these big brick masonry heaters and just feeling that awesome intense heat. I'm interested to see how we can do that in a maybe a smaller residential setting for a private sauna. I think you're still going to need a lot of size to that sauna because it is going to be pumping out heat. Even if you try to minimize the footprint of a masonry heater, it's going to be pretty hot. I would say you're probably going to have to a minimum 8x8 sauna, depending on the size of your what you're working with. But I've seen some really big ones that can heat a whole house lately on YouTube, to small ones that people are putting in their little cabins that are probably 24 inches by 24 inches, and they just kind of run the length. But really cool stuff. Interested in that just because I've been such a big fan of wood burning heat, and how to harness that heat, and doing my own little bit of brickwork in a heat shielding that I built in my sauna. I can tell after 2 hours, and that's usually when I'm getting out. I'm probably almost tail end of my sauna session is 2 hours, 2.5 hours after the room's been heated. But I can tell that if I ever just poke my head in there few hours later, I go back to the shop and grab a beer or something out of the fridge and just kind of poke my head in the door and say, oh, wow, it's still 150 Fahrenheit in that room. And I can go and feel those little bricks around the stove. And the stove is pretty cold at that point, but those bricks are still nice and warm. So there's a lot of radiant heat to be saved and work with there. So I definitely want to do something with my next build with some more brick. I think it just adds that rock mass that we always talk about, that is so good and just vital to a soft radiant heat. We're not looking at harsh sharp heat coming off of walls, but when those bricks absorb that heat over time and can just kind of slowly put it back out into the room, it is gorgeous. Especially you sprinkle a little water on there, and you're getting some steam going from that too. It can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it's still very much part of the sauna practice. It's maybe not super common with kits or a lot of the modern builds that you see, but like I see a lot of Finnish savu saunas that are using bricks for the structure, and then they've got the rocks kind of in there, and the rock part will be open, but they're using that masonry. And then you see a lot of builds where they use masonry to kind of shield off around the stove anyways. So, I mean, that's very much like a part of sauna builds.
Yeah, and it does go back. I mean, masonry work, I mean, is also a timeless trade, just like carpentry. Just as old as people were working with wood as they were working with stones, and piling these things up and making heaters, making stoves, making whatever they could to cook with and just survive. So it is cool to see the evolution of seeing now everybody's building with CAD on their computer. They can say, oh, yep, it's 475 bricks tall, and this is what I need. So definitely come a long way, but really, I think seeing some of those old videos I've been watching, these old bricklayers, they just got a pile of bricks and they just start building a square and they start building it up. And they know when to switch and when to kind of change. They've probably been doing it their whole lives, but it's cool to see. And now these things are documented. That's really old knowledge that now is kind of preserved, which is very cool. I think you honor some tradition with an old brick oven, even if you're just making pizzas. There's definitely some history going back, even if you're not sauning.
As long as the rocks are the rock stars there, as long as the rocks are doing their work. But yeah, definitely so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I saw some very interesting stones. They almost look like large eggs. Like imagine like an ostrich egg, like a small football. And these were, I don't know if they were polished granite or if they were a lava rock, but they were very neatly stacked in one of the banya heaters that I was looking into. And it was very uniform. And it kind of created a hexagonal pattern when they got stacked. So there was good airflow, but you could really put a lot of weight on there, because I think if you just haphazardly dumped a bunch of rocks in there, you're not going to have the proper probably ventilation. And once those rocks are in a large masonry heater like that, you're not getting in there very often to move them around. So I don't know if these were, yeah, kind of prefabricated, but I'm going to look more into that too.
Yeah, I saw one. I can't remember if I tagged you in it, but there was a gentleman who had built his own little smaller masonry heater. I think he might have had a like a beer keg or something in there vertically holding all the stones. And
Mm.
I thought that was a super interesting build.
Yeah, there's no wrong way to get some heat. It's fun seeing that DIY atmosphere, especially in the Eastern Bloc, Russia, Ukraine, Estonia, these places where, it's an old farmhouse. They've got a lot of brick and they just start going to town. So that DIY spirit is definitely alive in a lot of those heater builds. Eero, I mean, back in Finland, were a lot of people building their own brick ovens, or were they buying a metal stove?
Yeah, I was thinking that when we started talking about it, and I think that masonry stuff is like old school, like older school stuff. So I don't think that it happens that much in private saunas today. So it's just like, and obviously the thing is that it's a kind of a question about supply and demand. So heaters per se cost way less in Finland that they do, say, here in the US. So you don't even like start thinking about doing your own masonry and or whatever, because you just go to a local Home Depot and get yourself a very nice heater for $1,000. So it's kind of a no-brainer kind of a thing, but obviously it's a totally different ballgame when we go to the smoke sauna part of things, because there's basically, and I might say this wrong, I'm not 100% sure about this, but this there can't be many stores selling smoke sauna heaters. So so you're gonna come up with your own basically, and that's where the masonry comes along.
Mm.
So, but again, it's kind of it's the same sauna, but it's a different approach to that sauna. But I think also the people who are to this day, the people who are building smoke saunas take pride in doing basically everything themselves. So this
Right.
my heater, this is my sauna, these are my logs, and so forth. But yeah,
Well, I love the idea that you could just, like if you just wanted to get everything at your local Home Depot and you had a few friends and you wanted to just bang together a sauna super quick over a couple weeks, you could do everything except for the stove. So I like this idea, depending on what the masonry build looks like, that you could just get everything locally. So then you don't have to wait on someone else's time schedule, and you're not spending $4,500 on a stove also.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you can find local place around you that's got fire brick, and you can mix a little mortar in a wheelbarrow, you're gonna save some money if you know the basic principles of slapping some bricks together with some mortar. You can really achieve a lot within a budget. I would say you're gonna cut your cost as far as a stove is concerned in half at least. Now, what's your time worth? That's always going to be the question, because you are going to have to figure out how to build this thing, and it's not going to move. So you got one shot at it, because wherever you build this thing, it's probably going to stay.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to take more than one shot. You're going to have to do this. We'll have to document it. You'll make mistakes, but then you'll
Yeah.
be able to share that information with everybody else.
And I mean, the majority of my home build is local, besides my cast or wood stove. Everything else was probably sourced within 30 miles of me. Granted, the only other thing that I bought online was stovepipe, just because I was looking for a specific diameter, specific length, and I don't think the hardware store had any or had enough. So I did order that online. But really, you can do a lot if you're willing to try to put two pieces of wood together. It's not rocket science, for sure. What else is cooking in the sauna world? I mean, we're coming up on the end of 2024. It's been kind of an eventful year as far as everything else is concerned, but where do we see sauna going in this next year?
But I can start. I have some news.
Yeah.
There's an online newspaper. It's called the Finnish American Reporter, and there was a new newspaper coming out yesterday, and it states that the Finlandia Foundation National, which is, oh, there you go. There you go. Is that the latest, or is this, where did that come on? Okay, it's not okay, great. Awesome. So I was told that the new magazine or newspaper came out yesterday, and it's telling about Finlandia Foundation National, which is organizing the Sauna Week, which is the last week of February. It will do that again this year, and I'm sure that the upper bench, we're going to be involved at some capacity there. But anyway, so the lecture of the year for Finlandia Foundation National is going to be yours truly for 2025. And
Excellent.
yes. And obviously you guessed it. What I'm going to be talking about, not hot dogs, not ice skating. I'm going to be talking about saunas. So I'm going to be traveling the US and talking. It's partially preaching to the choir, because obviously this is Finnish America. But it's I'm basically doing what we've been doing all along. It's just I'm trying to make people understand the difference between only the sweat part and the as Risto says every time, the robust sauna bathing experience, or the sauna experience. So I'm going to make a clear definition, and it's exactly the same as always. So nothing wrong with thermotherapy, whatever way you want to do it, but to bring up the real deal, the one that we are addicted to talk more about that, and then talk more about how we can, the Finnish Americans, everyone else, how we can try to persuade the industry to sell the real deal, to get the whole thing going on. So anyway, so I know that I'm gonna already, I know that I've got 2 stops here, so it's 2025 is when I'm gonna be traveling, and I'm gonna be in New York City, not necessarily giving any lectures, but there's an event in New York City, January 12th till 15th. And then I'm going to be traveling to Michigan right after. And that's all I know at this point. But anyway, spreading the good word. That's what we've been doing. Now, how long have we been doing this podcast? A year and a half, some 2 years already?
Yeah, almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Give or take. Well, and we've got plenty of listeners too that probably have some great connections. So if you would like Eero to come and speak in regards to the Finlandia Foundation and what he's doing with promoting sauna, feel free to reach out to us. We'll get you in touch, and maybe if it's a good fit, Eero and the crew will come out and speak. So really cool that Eero is doing that. Congratulations on that. That sounds like a perfect fit for what you should be doing, Eero.
Thank you. I feel that way too. It's we don't have to go there again, but I've been coming to the US for what, 45 years now. I've been living here close to 27 years, and it still amazes me the misunderstanding of of what the sauna is. So I'm working as long as I can towards getting the message that nothing is lost in translation. That's kind of my approach.
I like that. I like that. And it's almost North America's weird because we almost have two different worlds, right? Like there's a world of where it's the gym or hotel, kind of the normal thing that people think they understand sauna that has very few elements, maybe not even steam. So there's that world where it's not very compelling necessarily. But then there's the other world of what we just experienced in Toronto or the Stanford Steam Club or Sam's Sauna. There's that world that we talk about so much. And things are actually pretty good in that world in North America. That you could go to a town like we did, like to Toronto, and experience all of that. You might have trouble finding that even in some European or even some Finnish cities to have such a robust scene like that.
And to have options. You might be more into the traditional, you might be more into the new age, you might be into whatever it is. Especially, I think here in North America, you're going to have more of a variety where, that I feel probably more common than not is going to be the more traditional aspect of sauna and public bathing in Europe, where here it's a good blend. You can really go kind of as far one way or the other as you want to go, just depending on which place you're at. If you want a guided session with Aufguss, go for it. If you want old Russians and Vita and everything, go for it. And if you want something in between where you can hang out with your buddies and get a drink afterwards, you can do that too. So I do enjoy that. And I think North America is always going to be that variety. There's always going to be that melting pot aspect. Because a lot of us are coming here from other places and bringing our cultures and bringing our practices to new places. So we're definitely intermingling a lot of that, and you see that all over. We saw that a lot in Toronto. These places were not just cookie cutter. They all had a great sense of identity and self, and they were unique. And you could go from one to the other and have a completely different experience.
That's so true. And it's kind of interesting. It's while you were talking, I was thinking about myself about the North American hotel tradition, so to speak. So it's like there's always like a great gym. There's somewhere. And what I'm talking about here is like I should not skip the gym part, but I get that cardiovascular exercise by going to the spa, going to the sauna. And again, I'm repeating myself. It's a heavenly thing to do. After a hard day, hit the spa, go to the gym first if you are inclined, then hit the spa, the sauna, and then after 3 hours max, you're ready to hit the road or the hotel, restaurant, or whatever you want to do. But it's just like you are reborn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm waiting for some hotel chain to catch that bug, and maybe we'll talk to them one of these days. But for some hotel chain that I can find regularly around the country, whether it's a Days Inn or a Marriott or a Hyatt or whoever catches that bug and understands sauna for the first time, and then starts putting them in, and then I know whenever I go to a new city, I know where I'm going to stay.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And it's like it's super easy. Like all these fancy hotels have their swimming pools, but they don't understand the connection between the hot room and the swimming pool or the whatever, the hot and cold. That is not understood.
And I think your average 9-year-old doesn't care what kind of pool it is as long as there's a pool. Where at least for the sauna goer, there is some expectation of quality and maybe some expectation of some amenities that are ambiguous to all sauna going. But if you're just putting in a pool so you got somewhere for the kids to jump in, they don't care. It's a pool. Go ahead, go nuts. But if you're going to spend the money and have these cool amenities, especially nowadays, new hotels are getting really creative with cool amenities, different things that their bar and restaurants are doing, things that they're doing with even just outdoor spaces, and really kind of revamping what that hotel experience looks like, sauna could fit right in there. I really do feel like there is a home for that, especially like Risto said. If I know that hotel chain X has got what I want when I next time I travel, that's going to be my first lookup for sure. If you want me to join your rewards program, get a good sauna, and I will sign up tomorrow.
Yeah, and if your setup is good enough, you'll even be able to sell slots to like local people. That class, it's called, that's the name of it, Classy Hotel in Battambang, Cambodia. Again, it's mostly just locals that are using it. So that's another good source of income.
Yeah. Yeah, completely new revenue stream. If you've got a slow hotel season, maybe you do have, we were just talking about the UP. The UP goes through its cycles of tourism, especially with the snowmobilers, the outdoors people, fishermen, different times a year definitely brings different crowds, but there's going to be peak seasons and off-peak seasons, and whenever you can bring people in on the off-peak for something is always going to be a win.
But it's the same thing as, let's talk about gyms. So these gym chains, tell me how many have like a real good working sauna instead of a hot box.
Yeah, it's so few and far between. I think the old Gold's Gym, they tried back in the day. I think there are some good saunas out there that have gone by the wayside after years of neglect and abuse and just never really having a good sauna culture to begin with. If you've got clientele that are into it, I think your establishment is going to hear that and going to go with it. One of the gyms that I used to frequent back in Minnesota, they had a wonderful sauna, and it got used very frequently. But they had the regulars that were in there every day that were taking care of it, or that were bringing up concerns or voicing their opinions, and so it was robust. Down here in South Carolina, I'm one of few that's going to bark about sauna not being hot enough or not being able to do certain X, Y's, and Z's, but we're getting there. My wife and I were just talking about this. There's a lot of gyms that cater to, hey, do you want classes? Great, we're the place for classes. Oh, hey, do you want free range, go 24/7? Hey, we're the place for that, but we don't have any classes. Oh, hey, do you want great amenities like maybe like a smoothie bar and a spa and tanning and all that stuff? Great, but we don't have any of the other stuff. So trying to hit that nail on the head. I think a lot of these gyms, they've got all the workout equipment in the world, but I think most people are looking for an experience, just like they are in most things. They're looking for a little bit more than just scan my key card and go lift something heavy. They can do that at home, and COVID taught them that real fast.
Yeah, if there's a gym chain that cracks the sauna code and they have no joke heat, like legitimately hot, good ventilation, the ability they want you to throw steam on the rocks, and then like a good filtered cold plunge that's not like super chlorine or terrible, that's done really well, place to chillax a little bit, then and they beat the hotel chain to that. I'm just gonna go stay at whatever the cheapest hotel is by that gym when I travel.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I'll stay at the Motel 6 across the street with my key attached to a giant piece of plastic or something all day long. And you're exactly right. There were some cool things in Toronto that we saw that could easily have been a workout or wellness facility, not just a public sauna. A few of those places, they were in strip malls. They could easily have been right next to the gym, or right next to a yoga studio, or right next to whatever, Pilates, Hot Works, all that jazz. You get some partnership going where, hey, we're all going to yoga at 10 o'clock at so and so's, and then we're going to walk right next door and go hit the sauna. That would be a match made in heaven to me.
So true, and it's interesting that you said that those were truly in strip malls. And considering what's happening to malls in this country, you would think that there's a lot of space there that could be utilized for that kind of purpose. You have your movie theaters, you could have your day spa with a real like spa, what we mean, like a real hot, good sauna in it. And it would be a win-win for all people, for all parties involved.
Mm-hmm. Oh, every time we drive past any strip mall that has for lease space, my my wheels start spinning. It's like, maybe I could turn that into a public sauna. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
But what else is on the ticket, gentlemen? It's getting late here. I know it's only getting darker by the minute. What do we have on tap for the rest of the year? What can listeners expect out of us? Should we I was thinking about maybe doing a little Christmas live stream somewhere around the holidays, get some viewers online and hear what they're doing for the holidays as far as sauna and fellowship and what they're doing with their friends and family. That'd be great.
That would be good. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That
So
sounds-
everybody, you heard it here. Keep an eye on our social media accounts. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all those crazy places that you talk to everybody on. Take a look. If you don't follow us, please, it only helps us out. We definitely appreciate anybody that subscribes or likes or does anything to interact with our content because it just helps us get the word out to more and more people. So if you like what you hear, please drop us a comment. Just say, hey, thanks, or just say, hey, will you talk more about banyas, or will you talk more about vitas? I know you said that weird word. This is the first episode that I listened to. What's this branch thing all about? So leave some comments. We love hearing from you guys, and we love seeing pictures too. Some of our favorite things to do is take a look at your guys' pictures and just see what you're working with, especially you DIY guys. If you're doing something crazy and you want to promote it, feel free. We'd love to have you on the show for a quick minute and see what you're building. So there'll be more and more to come. Again, we can't thank you guys enough. You guys make this stuff happen. So thanks for listening to all this crazy sauna talk over the years. It's been a lot of fun. I can't believe, we're at 40, 50 episodes here, and we've got 40 or 50 more to go next year and only more to go. So if you like what you see, please get in touch. We'd love to connect.
Totally agree.
Eero, what do you think? Closing thoughts?
I am trying to think of something clever to say, but obviously I never can. But yeah, no, we have a lot of stuff ahead of us. 2025, it's going to be a busy year, and we are helping out to build the Sauna Ambassador Network. So we need like-minded people to make a difference between a sweat box to a real sauna. And again, not to downplay the sweat boxes, but to promote the real sauna bathing experience. So we're gonna be busy building that 2025. And then if you're interested in the sauna ambassadorship, you think that you know the authentic sauna, please be in touch with us. And I'm sure that we started with Toronto. I'm sure that we're gonna probably the upper bench is gonna do a trip somewhere. And why not even? It's if we start early enough, why not even go to the ground zero? Why not make a trip to Finland?
Yeah, I think that is definitely going to be in the cards within the next year or two. We got to get to Finland. I think also too, I mean, now I'm not saying that I need to go all the way to Cambodia, but I do think Asia has some great sauna scenes as well. I know Japan, Korea, even Singapore, some of those cool places too. So I mean, if you've got a sauna scene that we haven't talked about yet, please drop it in the comments. We'd love to explore it. But I think too, we've got Chicago, we've got Seattle, we've got even the Dallas Fort Worth area is starting to really buzz with a lot of banya and public sauna scenes. So I think there's plenty of cool stuff. So if you're one of our crazy listeners that wants to come and meet up with us or want to promote where you're at, again, get a hold of us. We'll come sauna with you.
All right, gentlemen, I think it's a wrap this evening. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you as always, Risto. Thank you, Sam. We'll get back to our listeners in sooner than later.
100%. Keep it tuned. Thank you guys. It's been a blast.